Welcome to Down the Barrel Podcast with Jimmy and Dino. Get ready to dive into the wild world of Minnesota hunting, trapping, and wildlife. We'll be chatting with some folks who protect, manage, and promote the great outdoors. But don't worry, we'll also have some laughs as we chat about guns, whiskey, and anything else that catches our eye. So grab a drink, sit back, and get ready for a good time. Down the Barrel Podcast is brought to you by the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association
and wolf.report. Wolf.report, a platform dedicated to elevating the voices of Minnesota hunters, trappers, and outdoor enthusiasts. Join us in advocating for responsible wolf management in Minnesota. Share your reports, photos, and stories, and together we will ensure that they are seen by all.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association, protecting the future of deer and deer hunting through habitat, education, advocacy, and legislation.
Today we're here with Alice from Wheezy Outdoors. Thanks for coming in, Alice.
Yeah, hi, Alice.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So what is Wheezy Outdoors? What do you guys do?
Yeah, Wheezy Outdoors is a hunting and fishing guide service operated solely by myself and my husband up here in beautiful northern Minnesota, north central Minnesota. So we're located in Reamer, right in the heart of the Chippewa National Forest, and we have a lot of fun just loving and living in northern Minnesota.
So what are you guys focusing on right now?
So right now, believe it or not, we are getting a boat prepared, focusing on upcoming open water trips. We sold our boat at the end of last season, and I told my husband he gets a choice. We either get another boat or a cabin up in Alaska, and we're putting in a cabin up in Alaska. And a week ago, we drove out to Missoula, Montana to buy our jet boat. So he's getting both.
Awesome.
He's getting both.
That's quite the choices. Alaska or a boat? Jeez, I wish I had those choices.
You know, it was interesting. Right now, we had, from what we seen, it was just an epic year up on the Rainy River, which he typically guides on. He is a licensed captain here. So he typically, and we missed out on an incredible season up on the Rainy River. And I looked at him one day and him fussing about, I said, yeah, you need to get back to work. We can get a boat. He found the boat that he wants that's going to parallel both Alaska and Minnesota. We can utilize it in both states. So we drove, took all weekend, drove all the way out to Missoula, Montana, buying this boat. And right now we're tearing out the floors, repainting, going through everything on the motor, just getting it in ship shape ready for the open water season.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Do you have any booking so far in Minnesota for open water coming up?
Yeah. May and June are looking pretty stellar for us. So we're getting excited for those, and really open water season doesn't really kick off for us until after the Minnesota walleye opener. So we're looking at, by the mid to late May and June, we're going to be hustling and bustling here in the state. And then he is actually taking the entire month of July off. Him and our young son are going to be going up to Alaska.
Oh, cool.
Whereabouts in Alaska are they going to?
Yeah, so our property is located in Willow, Alaska, which is about 20 miles away from Talkeetna.
Is that southern Alaska then?
Yeah, south kind of. We're 2 hours north of Anchorage. Alaska's a big state. Yeah, 2 hours north of Anchorage, where we own a small parcel there, where we typically focus on, rivers and tributaries, mainly off the Parks Highway.
Cool. That is interesting. So you guys mainly do fishing guiding up there, or do you any hunting guiding?
That is all we can do up there. We would love to pack our bags and make the trek north, moving there, but unfortunately, it's hard for us to battle. We've had a successful hunting service down here in Minnesota, but with Alaska regulations, we actually have to first become residents. Then we have to work for an outfitter for a period of 5 years before we're able to apply for our own guiding.
Really?
And let's face it, we're both in he's late 30s, I'm mid 30s. We're too damn old. So
that is so old.
So way old. Yeah.
Way old. Yeah. You make me feel super old.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because I think when we were before looking, Dean, about hunting in Alaska, you You can't just go to Alaska and hunt. You have to have an outfitter.
It depends on the species. So some like caribou. Justin and I are focusing on do-it-yourself hunt right now that we're hoping to accomplish within the next two years or so. Off the Dalton, where you walk in 5 miles and kind of backpack in there and shoot a caribou. So it's certain species. Not only is it certain species, but it's also certain areas. Now, grizzly bears, for instance, you have to go with either a guide or have relatives. Lucky for me, I have a lot of relatives up there.
Well, that makes sense.
But other species, I think, dull sheep, you also have to be with a guide and everything. It's not a do-it-yourself. But other species like Sitka deer or caribou, a lot of those hunts you can do by yourself.
Moose,
and including moose in most areas.
I know. I had a friend, one of our Winchester guys. He did a DIY caribou hunt with a few guys where they were flown in. Stayed there, I guess, I don't know how many days, maybe 4 or 5 days, and then, got a couple caribou and then they were flown out. But it was a DIY, so they just got dropped off and set up camp and away they went. Yeah.
So, this new adventure overall has just mainly caused us to refocus on our business, what we want. We do know that we want to do the guided fishing up in Alaska, in addition, focusing primarily on salmon, trout, and more specifically like grayling. But, if we can't partake in the hunts, we could provide a transport service, where we have a pretty sorry, I swore.
No, you can say it. You can say
yes.
Okay. So we have a pretty kick-ass boat now where, we're going to be able to navigate a lot of these waters up there, drop hunters off. So I told Justin that's kind of an avenue that I want to focus on. It's been a long-term goal for me to get my captain's license as well. So maybe that'll happen eventually.
So up in Alaska, he's going up there in July.
End of June, first week of July, we're anticipating.
So what's the prime time fishing up there?
Usually the later part of July. Okay. The reason why he's going up so early is because he's going to start build and at least get it framed up and shelled in for our cabin. And usually the prime time for salmon fishing specifically is that later part of July into early August, throughout the month of August, essentially. But he has a deadline. He needs to be back by mid-August to start setting bear baits. So
and see here, kind of that July, August is horrible fishing.
It's terrible.
Yeah, horrible.
And that's the thing. Nobody likes walleye fishing in the middle of July. You have 95 degrees and 130% humidity factor. Right. Nobody wants to be fishing up here.
That's swimming season.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So back for bear season, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Because it was actually your post on Facebook, Alice, that reminded me to go and apply for my permit.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad that's getting out there.
Because usually somebody reminds me every year. Although I will say, this will be my 4th year without getting one.
Okay, so you have at least 3 to 4 preference points.
I should get it. I've never went longer than 3 years.
You definitely should. Yep.
That's what I'm hoping, because I hunt in this area, which is I think 27.
Okay.
And they're only like 200 and some permits I think they're giving out in this area.
Such a shame they didn't increase this year.
Which is surprising because there's a lot. The last time I hunted behind my house, I had bears literally 24 hours a day, constantly in there. And so there's lots of bears. At least 4 years ago there was. I guess we'll see this year if I get one.
There still is. It's been amazing. The bear population, I can say exclusively over the last 3 years, how much it's been climbing. And with that being said, having a high population, we had a very, very poor harvest rate overall as a state last year. And that's not due to lack of bear. It's due to the conditions that we had.
Too hot, or what was it?
So it was a combination of things, actually. We have never seen, in the last decade that we've been doing this, we have never seen an acorn drop this heavily, especially coming out of a drought like we had all summer.
Right.
The the food, the natural forage out there available for the bear was just incredible. Usually we expect the berries and choke cherries and all that to dry up and falter by the first to second week of September. Generally, we had them well all the way into the beginning of October this year.
Yeah.
It has Yep. So the first, like literally opening day is always September 1st.
Right.
And about 3 days prior to that, it started raining acorns like hellfire. I mean, it was just enormous, the amount of acorns that we had. We typically use a 4-wheeler running baits just because it's easy to get in there quick and get out. We had to take the side-by-side because literally it was raining on us, the amount of acorns that we were getting hit in the head with. So with that, the natural food, it just turned them from the baits. And I know that almost everybody there, I mean, obviously you're still going to have plenty of success, but almost everybody was noticing this. I mean, we're talking about bear guides that have been doing this for the last 40 years. This was the 2023 season was honestly their worst season that they've ever witnessed.
Right. I mean, I just know it was so damn hot out there. I can't even imagine. And one of the things I don't like hunting when it's that hot is if you get one, I mean, just managing that bear afterwards. You got to be on, you got to be ready to go.
That is big. And that's one of the things that I don't want to say suffered. What's another word?
Struggled with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we struggled with. With our guide service, Wheezy Outdoors, we only guide that first week. Historically speaking, 80% of your bear are going to be harvested within that first week of season. And for us, it's just the overall expense of baiting. That's why we don't go until the end of season.
Yeah.
With that first week and having 4 days, all being over 90 degrees, and one day called on the count of severe thunderstorms rolling through the area, it was a struggle. In fact, I had hunters out there that were texting me pictures that they have stripped down to everything but their underwear. We had hunters going out in just their long johns, and then a couple of our clients, they took their shirts off and everything. They're like, yeah, it's too damn hot out here. So
yeah, I guess I wasn't too disappointed about not hunting last year because of that very reason. I think we were camping on the lake anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. Yep, I do remember that. Wow.
Yeah, but I can understand the whole bait thing because usually after that first week, I'm usually out. And that's how I've screwed myself before, is just putting too much bait out there ahead of time. And then when it comes to actually go time, I'm running low, and then that's
the thing. So it was relatively, I want to say about 4 years ago, I want to say, give or take. I can't remember exactly, but when they moved the first day of baiting back a week, and I think that's really hurting it. I mean, the thing is bear are getting used to it. Yeah. By that time, obviously, Justin and I, the first day of baiting, we're out there, we're hitting the ground. There's times that we went out and we've started setting our first baits at 2-3 o'clock in the morning because these are already well-established baits that we know attract bear, that we just want to make sure that, we're the first ones to get there, not to be greedy, but these are good baits for us. So moving that back, we have no choice but to start establishing our baits and running that full baiting season. But honestly, overall, I think it's hurting us. Just for the fact bear get used to us. You can lay out the pile of Krispy Kreme donuts, have the best donuts in the world, and you're never going to get a bear to turn away from natural forage. Never. It's ingrained in their
biology.
It's ingrained in their biology where, and it's just that internal instinct that they know that that's what they need. They don't need jelly-filled donuts. They don't need anything like that they're not going to go after it. So
I could use some jelly-filled donuts, honestly.
Well, I was just thinking, I don't know. I mean, it's ingrained in me to eat other stuff, but Doritos, Doritos and Krispy Kreme donuts. I'll go to that bait every time.
Right. That's way better than an acorn.
Way better than an acorn,
way
right?
Better than acorns.
But thinking of acorns, and I don't know the answer to this, and maybe you do. Bears, do they eat up those hazelnuts too?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I have hazelnuts by my house, and they are always just
absolutely.
ravaged that time
So
of year.
I mean, and those are key areas to focus on too, because whenever we establish a bait, we are looking for the natural forage in their area too. So we want to see the berries, we want to see the choke cherries, we want to see the rose hips, hazelnuts, acorns. All that they genuinely feed on. They know that that's the stuff that they're supposed to have. So
yeah. So that's in their original area, so they're already there for that, and then you're just giving them something sweet that they're going to find, like, oh hey, this is kind of nice over here. I tell you, I'm just going to bear with birdseed in my area, because apparently every time I put out birdseed, I get a 400 pounder.
That bear, did you show Alice that
it was
bear?
400 pounder. I don't remember if I did. I'll have to show her, but
I need to see that bear.
You should.
This thing is amazing. I put it on Facebook.
That I one of the bigger bears I've seen on camera. I mean,
I get one I can't say every week. We haven't had one in probably 2 years for sure. The last time we had 3 at a time. But this is the largest bear I've had.
Right. I would say easily, and I'm not an expert or anything, but I'd say 300 plus easy.
Yeah. Huge.
That's a big bear.
It is
feeding up on everybody's garbage, dog food,
it's spring,
birdseed.
and this was just a week or two ago?
2 weeks ago.
And I swear to God, he had a belly on him.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah. I mean, he was, his ears, I guess I couldn't tell if his ears were sticking out to the side, but he was a big boy.
He was very big, and it didn't really care about me. I hollered at it once. It ran away. It came back 20 minutes later. I hollered at it again. It kind of huffed and, waddled away. And then it decided, I'm going to wait 2 hours to come back when I know this guy's asleep, and I'm just going to wreak havoc on everything.
My first thought when you sent that to me was like, oh God, we got hunt by Dino's house. But then you're not in my area. I can't.
No, I'm in a totally different area.
Should have applied for 51.
And I haven't.
I know a hell of a guide.
Yeah.
You're in 51?
I should be. Yeah, because the way the crow flies,
you're in area 51.
By Dean's house.
Yeah.
You want that bear.
Yep.
You should apply. You
and
got
that's
till the 5th.
one thing that
I should.
Third? May 3rd this year. Yep.
3rd.
It's always the first Friday of May is the deadline of applications. So, and that's one thing to consider is we've had such a light winter. These bears, and I'm saying too much.
Oh, we all say it. Don't worry about it.
In speaking with the local COs in our area, there's been so many nuisance reports, and that's what you're going to witness from especially coming out of winters like the one that we did. Nice, mild, it's springtime, but still there's not enough natural forage out there right now that they're going to be going to these cabins and houses and things like that in their area and become more of a nuisance. There's been so many nuisance reports. So,
well, and I think that's why we haven't had one in a couple years prior to, because we've actually had more of a season, winter right into spring, to where they're coming out to where 3 years ago, would have been 19, 20 area. I think it was probably 20 area that when we started, that we haven't had one since probably 20. So that would be about right, and we've had decent winters since then. So
yeah, winters that go right into summer.
Yeah,
I want to know your definition of decent, but
well, decent seasons where we've definitely had a season.
You can tell when they change.
Right. You can tell when they change when the bears are actually staying asleep. But it was amazing. I mean, even this year where Dean, you and I live fairly close to one another. Yep. I mean, I seen 3 bears so far this season or this entire winter. I think I even seen one second week of January.
I was thinking the first bear I saw was only a few miles from the house in a big open field, and that would have been late February, maybe.
Yep.
I know it was a bear because it's the biggest thing in the corner of a field. It's like, that is not a deer or anything else.
And there's no cows around here.
Yeah. So it's like it was a bear, and that had to be mid-February.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
I haven't seen any at my place for a couple of years now. I mean, I thought I would see some. We had a horse that we had to put down, and we had put it on the backside of the property, and I thought for sure I was going to see a bear. It was nothing but wolves.
Yeah.
Which is
wolves. And I used to have bears. I used to have to run them off back there.
Yep.
So I'm hoping if I get my permit this year, I can actually get a bear in.
So how many, speaking of bear guiding and everything and bear camp, how many people do you bring in for your bear guiding?
We aim for a minimum of 15 and we don't exceed 20.
Wow. That's awesome.
So you run that many baits?
Yeah. Last year, well, not necessarily that many. So, by law in Minnesota, I am allowed to have 3 baits per licensed client, in addition to having 3 per master bear outfitter, which would include 6 for both me and Justin. So altogether, it's however many hunters I'm taking times 3 plus 6. Now, we don't necessarily run that many. What we do is we go out and we set as many as we possibly can that are going to do well, and then we just dial back from there. I mean, if a bait's not active, right, I'm not going to keep baiting it. So last year, with having 18 clients, we had over 34 active baits.
Wow, that's a lot. I can't imagine trying to keep food on that many.
A lot. Yeah. It's a lot. So we had 34 active baits per 18 clients, just dialing back. Some are just lights out, shut out. We know that we're getting a bear off of there. Other ones, I mean, we're constantly always scouting, not necessarily actively pursuing baits, but that's what Jess and I do. We take a drive in the woods, especially this last winter that we had made it ideal for that. We could see habitat, we could see what's around there. The foliage is off the ground. It's northern Minnesota, in late August when we're setting these baits, you can walk in on a trail or walk into the woods. You're not even going to probably see 15 feet in front of you without it being blocked. So this is the ideal time to be starting to scout, starting to look where, applicable places would be. So
that's pretty cool. So is it just you and Justin that guide, or do you have guides with you?
We do have guides that assist us for the period of our bear camp during the actual hunt. Up until September 1st, it's mainly just me and Justin, unless I have other priorities with work or kids or anything like that. I might call one of our other guides, hey, can you come up this weekend, help Justin set stands? He's getting up there in his late 30s. He still thinks he's 18.
Oh my God, late 30s.
But he still thinks he's
old bastard.
He still thinks he's 18 and the spring chicken and can climb up a tree all by himself without anybody being there. So
yeah,
that's probably my biggest concern is just always making sure that he has someone up there to hang stands
like he's
with
65. How old do you think I am?
76.
76? Well, I was born in 76.
Old.
So 46, 47.
Tree. Yeah, I can still climb a tree.
I've seen you climb a tree.
I climb a tree every year when we go down to Ripley.
8 feet up.
I get about 12 feet.
I get about 8 feet.
But hanging stands, or these are just trees?
Oh, no, it's in the dark hanging stands.
Yep.
Hung over, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Typically. I bet Camp Ripley hunts. I've heard those stories.
Yeah, typically.
Anyway.
How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can give us a call at 218-275-7525. You can find us online at www.wheezyoutdoors.com.
I want to know where you get your bait from. That's a lot of bait to buy.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
Wildwood Bear Bait, just south of Brainerd, Minnesota. I cannot speak highly enough about them. We have been with Wildwood for at least, let's see. Yeah, we're going on 10 years now. Our first year, we just kind of pick it up where we can. And then we got in contact with a gentleman, Gordon Morris, who is the most genuine, down-to-earth veteran that you could ever get along with. He unfortunately passed away last year. So, but now his son and granddaughter have completely taken it over and are doing a phenomenal job. So Wildwood Bear Bait, just south of Brainerd, they always treat us good. They always do right. So that's where we get a bulk of our bait, like our granola, our cookie dough, our cookies, things like that. Other stuff, honestly, we see where we can pick it up as cheap as we can. I have gone to Super One Foods and asked for the rotten produce. Bears are omnivores. They eat vegetables just as much as, so I've gone there. I've hit up every bar in the area asking, when they empty out their fryer oil, if I can have the jugs. As much as you can find for free is always key. It's getting harder and harder with some of the regulations the state has imposed with the health department and the food, because they're not permitted to give out, outdated or past food or things like that. We've got it from food shelves where it's, it's past expiration. We haven't been able to, they can't sell it to the public. Other than that, we pick up as much as we can for free, cheap, and because baiting is expensive.
No doubt.
And then, other things, there's a candy company in Perham. We get usually about a ton of licorice from each year. And that's stuff that we cut up, mix in with the bait. And it's just knowing what you want, knowing what they're going after. If you can compare a bear to any other animal, it'd be most comparable to that of a pig. They're going to eat everything and anything that they can. So the things that smell good, that taste good, are all quality things. We tend to use a lot of natural fillers. I shouldn't say natural fillers. For our fillers, we use a lot of like sunflower seeds, oats, the things that are good for them. Because when a bear goes into hyperphagia, which is the point where they start eating to prep for hibernation, they know what's going to be good for them. So over the course of the 10 years that we've been doing this, I think we're entering in our 11th season now. We've kind of learned to gauge that and not giving them so much sweets, not giving them that, because you can turn a bear just as easily as you bring them on. If they're getting a sour stomach because they had too much candy, they're going to know the reason why. So we do a lot of oats, sunflower seeds. We use corn very minimally. Corn is a great filler. Dog food is a great filler. Right. Corn is just a little bit harder for them to digest. And then we just supplement them a little bit with the sweet stuff, whether it's licorice, gummy bears, gummy worms, cookie dough, anything that we can. And then we use phenomenal products for scent and attractant from Bear Sense. So
okay, cool. So we've talked about bear baiting and bear hunting and the Alaska trips and everything. So how did Wheezy Outdoors get started?
Funny story. Justin and I at the time were living in Brainerd, Minnesota, and we always came up to the Grand Rapids area, fishing primarily, and then we'd enjoy it in the extended season of the whitetail hunt. And we just fell in love with the area. You can only get drunk so many times with Denny down at Mad Dogs before you become in love with the area. So Brainerd, granted, I spent a majority of my childhood that I can remember in the Brainerd area, originally being from Alaska, but Brainerd just got too big. It got too busy and things like that. So we decided, it was 2010. I was working retail. Of course, this is coming out of a pretty big recession that we were in after 2008. And Justin actually was concrete mason, but ended up losing his job during the government shutdown. And we decided to move. We had less than $100 between the both of us, and we decided to move up north. And he ended up getting a job here locally at a factory. And from that, I actually ended up leaving my job in Brainerd, where I worked at retail at Maury's Seafood Markets, best seafood you can get in Minnesota. But I ended up leaving my job, but he was making good enough money. We were in a little single house here, and it was just the two of us and two dogs, and life was great. But I got bored. I got really, really bored. Going into that winter of 2013, we had a boat. We had a 8x20 fish house. I looked at him one time and I just said, I'm going to start renting out our fish house. And he looked at me like, what? And I'm like, yep, we got a plow truck. I said, I'm going to start renting out our fish house. So I started the year of 2013. I started Wheezy's Tight Lines Fish House Rentals. and it actually was pretty busy, pretty fun. When we rolled into 2014, we were hitting springtime. You know, I knew the fish house was going to have to come off, and I looked at him. I told him I don't want to stop. I said, we got a boat. You know what the hell you're doing. I said, let's do this. I said, but if we want to do this, I want to do something that's going to sustain us year round. I said, so we can do summer fishing, ice fishing. I said, and shit, let's do hunting too. So I started to develop a business plan and what we're going to offer and how much we're going to charge and things like that. So we started Wheezy Outdoors, filed for certificate of assumed name, did all the stuff with the Minnesota Department of Revenue and everything to start the business. And we had no idea what was going to go on. But I knew Justin hated his job at the factory. He was definitely destined for more things. And sure enough, by 2015, he was able to quit his job and take on guiding full time.
Nice.
He went that year to become a licensed captain because I told him, I said, if we're going to do anything, we're not going to do it half-ass. I said, we're going to do it straight and do it by the book. So he is one of only 2 licensed captains within our local area offering guided fishing. So he does fishing year round. And then obviously we have the bear hunting and the bird hunting in the fall.
Okay. That was going to be my question, but you kind of answered it. So obviously you don't have to be a licensed captain to do guiding, fishing guiding.
So technically, yes. On a federal level, in order to guide on any navigable water, meaning you can get from one body of water to the other, you legally have to have your OUPV 6-pack license. The thing is, the state of Minnesota doesn't enforce it, to what we don't know, but they don't enforce it by no means. I know that it's been brought up multiple times, but it would ultimately hurt a lot of the resorts and things like that. So,
yeah.
But if anything, it broadened our horizons. He's able to guide on the Rainy and things like that because that is, where it's Coast Guard managed waters. It's going to be more relevant. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but you guys guide on more than just the Rainy, right?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Right.
And that's always an interesting question when people ask where we guide. And I'm like, well, northern Minnesota, northern Minnesota. It depends on where the fish are biting. Right. Our year typically starts off on the Rainy because that's first open water where you can partake in the extended walleye season. But I mean, Justin will go from Red Lake one day and down to Mille Lacs the next. We don't know. It's wherever the fish are biting. We try to tailor it as best we can to the clients, but ultimately it's going to be where the fish are. We do put a lot more focus around reamer area body. So reamer, Emily, Longville. We do a lot of focus, obviously, on leech, Winnebagoshish, bowstring, up to Red Lake, down to Mille Lacs. But I mean, he's taken guided trips everywhere. So,
well, that's pretty cool. Sure. So when he's not guiding, especially for the summer trips, I guess it could even be for the ice fishing trips. So when he's not guiding, is he obviously scouting, still fishing?
Absolutely.
Just kind of seeing and obviously, yeah.
Yep. And that's where it makes it tough, because I still maintain a full-time job in town, and we do have 2 kids, but, he always has to be on top of the next bite. Because even if he doesn't have a guide trip that day, he has one coming up. So he's constantly on the water, constantly working. So,
yeah,
pretty rough, huh?
Yeah, that'd be pretty tough. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, I gotta go fishing again today.
Man, that would be tough. We got to wake up and go fishing again.
Right? No, it's tax deductible too. I need to do that.
I think we may have to reevaluate. We might have to reevaluate.
Oh, it's so hard to get up and go fishing every day.
Yeah, gee, Justin, if you're listening, and you need somebody to go with you,
I can land a boat like ain't nobody business.
Exactly. I can drive, so for sure. So that's awesome. So a lot of summer fishing, ice fishing, obviously probably this year was
lackluster.
Yeah,
it was shit.
Not the great.
It was shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just call it what it is. It was shit.
Yeah. We didn't even get out.
Oh, hell no.
It started off awesome. You couldn't have asked for a better start to this winter where it just got cold and no snow, and we didn't get snow to push down the new ice or anything. It started off awesome, but yeah, this year was shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's solely winter. A lot of it's economy too.
Well, it was big time weather though this year.
Big time weather.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And I will say that this year was by far 10 times worse than what we faced during COVID.
Yeah.
Just overall, people aren't traveling. They know that there's not fishable ice. They don't want to put that money. We got lucky to score our a couple new ones and everything like that. One of our favorite events, Justin took it was a guy and his son from Georgia. Nice. Never experienced even walking on water
hard water. He didn't know
anything.
I know that feeling.
So that was one of the best trips that we had this winter. And you can invest for a better winter for them. I mean, granted, he was freezing his ass off, but for us, I mean, Justin's out there in just a long sleeve shirt, but it beats 35 below. So
God, yes.
So ice fishing was a bust, and pretty much bear camp obviously was decent, but still tough. So how about fall bird hunting? Because you guys do guided grouse trips.
That was incredible.
Like
that was incredible. Yep. I wouldn't say bear hunting was decent. Bear hunting last season, we just don't talk about that. We won't talk about that. Yeah. So
too damn hot,
too much food, and not enough bear down. But grouse season, I cannot believe or talk highly enough about this past season. We are actually, what is this, mid-April, end of April almost, and we're fully booked for the 2024 season.
That is awesome.
Good deal.
In fact, you and Aiden will be joining us.
Yeah, my son and I, we will be going down there. I have to get another shotgun.
I agree.
Darn.
I have to get him shooting the current one to
if
make
you want
sure
to get on Justin's good side, you need to make sure it's a double barrel. But
it will be.
It doesn't matter the configuration.
I have an over and under, and I'm debating on because I love the look of the side by sides, but I've heard it's harder to learn how to do it just because of the
if you're not used to it, it is
to where I'm used to it over and under. But I don't know, them side-by-sides, they look pretty damn cool.
Well, like I said, Justin, this is an ongoing debate in our household. I am not kidding. This is mine and my husband's pillow talk, side-by-side versus over-under. I shoot an over-under. Justin shoots a side-by-side. So I have a little Stevens 555. He has a CZ, and it's an ongoing debate.
You're both wrong. You need a semi-auto.
Says Jim.
Yeah.
Trust me. You need a semi-auto.
I've been looking at that, but I want a traditional.
I get it.
Yeah.
A lot of things. This grouse season, I can't speak highly enough about. It was just a phenomenal season. The birds were up. We had a mild fall going into winter where the woodcock stayed in the area. I mean, even the first week of deer season, we were driving out to the deer stands and we were seeing woodcock on the trails. I mean, it was an incredible season. So the migrating flock of woodcock took their time getting down south, and it was an incredible season. I play a lot in part, historically, they say that grouse go on a boom and bust cycle, just like rabbits, just like anything. Every 7 years. Well, we were told the peak of the grouse population was 4 years ago. And every single year they've been getting better and better. A lot of that's due in part, not that I disagree with that they're not on a boom and bust cycle, but a lot of that is due in part mostly behind what kind of spring we have. We had a nice dry spring. Where it doesn't flood out the nest, doesn't flood out the birds, anything like that. So with the lack of rainfall, if I can speak anything good about the drought last year, it was because the grouse population was up. Other than that, I hated the drought. I planted apple trees last year. I hated it. It was my fault.
I was there too. I have none left.
Well, and this year I've already seen probably 4 or 5 grouse on the road. And I know the other night we were sitting outside and I probably heard at least 3 drumming in the background.
Yeah, Dad,
I've got a ton of grouse in my area.
He said he can't
walk out of his house without flushing a grouse up there.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Mm-hmm. So it might be another good season. I know it's still early, obviously.
Way early, but
I
love those seasons when you can go hunt grouse in December.
Yes.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
Yeah, I've had my best luck in December. After deer season, take the Jeep out, go down some old roads.
Yeah.
I've literally been out grouse hunting, had a great day grouse hunting, and found moose sheds.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So grouse season goes from
till the 31st, right? December.
September 15th.
So, whenever small game opens
it's basically bow season.
That's what I was thinking.
Yep. So whenever small games opens up until December 31st.
Okay. I could remember.
And you're absolutely right. It's one of our favorite times to hunt too, typically. So with our grouse season, we primarily only hunt the month of October. Okay. The reason being is even when small game opens up in September, a lot of times, you have too much natural forage. Your shot opportunity is minimal. So it's a great time for us to just get the dogs out and work them. But other than that, the primarily month of October is kind of our honey hole, because once whitetail season opens up, Jess and I are passionate whitetail hunters. So we take that kind of as our vacation time, and, for the safety of our dogs and safety of our clients and things like that. And out of respect for the whitetail hunters, we don't run our dogs, so that's 3 weeks in November, and years like this, it was just so awesome to pick back up and start small game hunting, knowing that it's not over yet. So it was a great year for that.
Yeah.
Where most years, by the time whitetail's done, we have, knee high snow, and we're not going to go trudging through that.
Yeah. Exactly. They're just waiting for the ice to form, so that way ice fishing comes.
Yes.
So you guys don't do whitetail hunting guiding at all?
No, we don't. Not to say that we haven't thought about it. Where Justin's originally from would be the epitome of guided whitetail hunting, but we don't own land in that area.
Where's he from?
He's from West Central Minnesota. So he grew up in Verndale, just south of Wadena.
Yeah.
So, had we had land, it might be something that we consider, but it's got to be enough land too, not
have a sustained population,
not 50 acres, something that we can easily manage.
So he's from Verndale. You're from Alaska, right?
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
Well, I was living in Brainerd when we met. Oh my God.
That's a stretch from Alaska to Brainerd.
So
that's even further from Kansas to Minnesota, believe it or not.
That is definitely
that is definitely.
I know why you made it here. But.
So my history, originally born and raised in Alaska in the Mat-Su Valley, Palmer-Wasilla area. My grandfather was stationed up there in the 50s in the Air Force. Okay. And when he retired, that was his home, and he made it his home. So I was born up there, but a majority, my family roots come back to Minnesota. My family, between my mom's side of the family anyways, is all the roots, and so all my roots come back to Minnesota. Both my mom and dad's side are centrally based around Brainerd, Minnesota. Okay. And when my great grandfather got diagnosed with terminal cancer, my mom decided to move us back home. I was in, I want to say, probably 4th grade at that time. When she moved us back, and then in 2008, my mom and dad decided to move back up to Alaska, and I moved with them for a short time. But of course, before moving up there, probably about 4 months before moving up there, I had to meet a rugged cowboy from Verndale, Minnesota, who was a bull rider.
I didn't know they had cowboys.
MySpace, nonetheless.
MySpace. He had a sweet MySpace page.
I
had a sweet MySpace page
I had
too.
to use it in the background. And
MySpace was so much better than Facebook.
Dude, I don't. Way more creative. I tell you,
you could have your music playing, whatever.
You could pick your background.
Zuckerberg broke everything. That guy ruined our lives.
So I got a friend request from a guy on MySpace. Some random guy, and I seen that he was a bull rider from Verndale, Minnesota. I was involved in horses and cattle. I worked on a farm, and I used to rope a little bit.
Horse girl?
No,
Oh,
I'm not.
God. No offense, honey.
At that time, it almost sounds like she might have been a buckle bunny.
I used to show cattle a lot, and I was very, very new to MySpace, Facebook, and everything. I was 4-H, FFA.
MySpace. I love how much you mentioned MySpace.
I love MySpace. I miss it.
You know, you can see your old account still.
We're going to bring it back.
Can you really?
Totally. I looked at mine.
Oh my God. I need to figure out how to get back in there. I don't even know what email address I was using at the time.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. You can look it up. It's awesome.
I'm going to find it. But no, I mean, that's how me and Justin met. It was MySpace. He sent me a friend request. He was a bull rider, and he says, yeah, I've seen your profile picture. You look pretty interesting. So I don't know what that's saying.
So he should have stopped at that pretty, but he followed it up with interesting.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. So I don't know what that's saying. Nonetheless, I had to be honest right then. I'm like, well, I don't look anything like I do in that profile picture because I have not a single hair on my head. I just had brain surgery about 4 months ago. So nope. And yeah, when he met me, I had no hair. I wore a baseball cap all the time. And
he's like, I'm good.
Guess what? He took me fishing. That's all I cared about. He took me fishing.
Love. Way to go, Justin.
Yeah, way to go.
Did you catch any fish?
We did.
Did you outfish him?
I did.
That's going to be my next
Ottertail
question.
Lake, Ottertail Lake, right there in that river system. It was just an epic. I still remember that day, but it was. It was great, and it was love.
That's awesome.
I will say that's kind of pretty special between me and Justin. Is I was in a pretty dark place for a long time, and he's the one that took me out, got me moving, get me doing. I mean, he's the reason I will say, regardless of physical therapy, he's the reason I can walk right now. So
way to go, Justin.
That's cool. That's awesome. That's a feel good story.
Rather than 300 pounds on the couch watching Netflix. So,
there's some good shows on Netflix.
I watch Netflix and I'm almost 300 pounds.
I'm trying to fight my way back.
Right.
Yeah.
Them damn Krispy Kreme donuts and
Krispy Kreme. I don't eat those things.
Doritos.
Doritos and cottage cheese get me every damn time. It's like my meth.
Yeah, MySpace. That's awesome.
I love hearing about MySpace.
That is
freaking
so
Tom.
Cool.
We miss you.
So, who is the better fisherman?
Me, hands down.
Okay,
hands down.
No, honestly,
hands down.
seriously,
Me.
Really?
Me.
Really?
You ask him.
Who's the better outdoors person?
That's not a fair question.
Oh, it is totally a fair question.
He still has to hang my stands. That's not a fair question.
Boom! There you go. It answers it. You can't even hang your old stands.
I can't.
Okay, who's the better hunter?
So who's the better hunter because he gets ample amount of time in the stand, or who's the better shot?
There you go. Who's the better shot?
That'd be me. Even my 6-year-old son, as of yesterday, will admit it.
You're a better shot.
I hands down, I'm the better shot.
We're gonna have to go to the range and see who wins.
I have a new Tika 300 win. I've been meaning to get
300 yards, one shot. You or Justin? What does he shoot? Don't say 6.5 Creedmoor.
No, it's 7 meg.
Well, that's cool. At least it's a man's round.
Yep, 7 meg. Exactly. Nope. But no, I will argue I'm the better shot. But yes, he's the better hunter. He gets the better animals because he knows what he's doing.
Would he agree with you or would he disagree with you?
No, he'd agree with me that I'm the better shot.
Oh, so he's kiss ass. Okay.
He would.
Well, and honestly, ladies are a lot better shots.
But
9 times out of 10.
He'll also criticize me because I'm also brought up in the way you take your time to take the shot and things like that. Whereas Justin's not. If you have the shot, you take it. So
I'm kind of with him on that one.
I do tend to take my.
Shut up.
I don't even know if your statement was, if you have the shot, take it. You would be more of a, I see something. Let me take it.
If it's in my scope, boom.
So that's where we differ on hunting. I mean, and it's not that, he's poor on any aspect of that. Obviously we always, as hunters, as conservationists, we always want the most ethical shot. But if Justin sees something, he's going to start shooting.
Oh, for sure.
And me, I'm like,
me and you we're the same.
Whereas I'm like,
I'm there to kill.
Nope. I'm going to wait. Oh shoot. I missed my shot.
Hell no.
My biggest bucks that I've ever seen, I've let walk past because I didn't have a good shot.
No.
So
Yep. I'll give it 2 seconds, and after that, I'm opening fire.
I don't even know if 2 seconds. I'm not even sure.
Right, I don't mess around.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. I know we got to give Justin a hard time because he's not here, but
I think. But yeah, I'm cool with that.
No, that is pretty awesome.
Shoot.
So, what makes Wheezy Outdoors different?
that's a great question.
Why should people go to Wheezy Outdoors?
Right. In northern Minnesota.
Honestly, I have taken a lot of time to think about this. What makes us different? When we started this business, we chose to be different. We didn't want to be secluded into one season, one zone, one area. We love fishing. Don't get me wrong, but we're also passionate about hunting. We're also passionate about, in everything that we do, we're passionate about. So what makes Wheezy Outdoors different? We offer 4 seasons. Moreover, it's not just, hey, I like fishing, let me make money off of this.
Right.
The reason why we started this is because we enjoy the outdoors so much. We enjoy hunting and fishing and hiking and just the beauty that the outdoors provides. We enjoy it so much that we want to give other people this experience.
Yeah.
It's not that we want to make money and charge an arm leg to take you fishing for 4 hours. We want you to have that experience with your family that we get to share with ours every day, assuming I'm not working.
Right.
But, and that's what makes us different is we care about our clients. This is why we have repetitive clients. This is why people keep coming back to Wheezy Outdoors.
I don't know. I feel like I should be playing some Sarah McLachlan right now.
Well, and I'm thinking that, you guys are younger, from all the guides that, I've been with or seen.
Well,
they're all
here,
around here, they're all older. So I'm sure there was, a little bit of hesitation probably from some clients at first because you're younger,
Oh,
maybe
absolutely.
not so
you're like a
experienced,
millennial,
but
aren't you? Are you millennial?
I don't know. I don't claim to be in that. I say Gen X. Am I Gen X?
She's a millennial. She wishes she was a Gen X.
But yeah, I would say since you guys are younger, I could see the more appeal for even, younger clients.
And we still meet resistance.
Oh, I'm sure.
We still do. What I can say is my husband at his age is a licensed captain, has been for the last 6 years. And God damn it, that man knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
His age. She's going with this age again. It's making me feel so old. He's like 32 or something.
You are old.
He's not 32. He wishes he was 32. He has a birthday coming up.
Does he? He's going to be 47?
He's not as old as I am.
You are old.
Lucky that you're only a foot away from him. I'll kick you.
Yeah, here you go. Back
but and that's the thing. We still, even to this day, get resistance from people, whether it's with our bear hunting, our grouse hunting, our fishing. How do you compare to? We're talking about local guides in the area that are even in the Fishing Hall of Fame and whatnot. And as much respect as I have for those people, we derive our business off of passion. What we enjoy doing, we want to share with others because not everybody gets this opportunity. Yep. People that enjoy doing what we do, you think about the busy life that we all live. Yeah, maybe they want to go shoot a bear, but can a person living in, say, Stillwater commit that much time in baiting and that much commitment to baiting and bringing in a bear up in, say, northern Minnesota where their opportunities are going to be ample? No, they can't. But everybody should get to experience this. It's wonderful. That is why our whole motto or slogan or catchphrase or whatever you want to call it behind Wheezy Outdoors is break the chain of routine. We want to get people out of their day-to-day, out of their norms, and really truly be able to experience Minnesota in its greatness.
Yeah.
Because, obviously we're quite often an overlooked state in the grand scape of things. And this is a phenomenal state.
Right. Especially, I think it's because the northern part of the state is so much different than the rest of the state.
And
people don't realize that.
You drive an hour and a half from and that's why we first chose Grand Rapids. You can drive, 5 miles out of town, and guess what? You're in the forest.
Yeah.
You're there. You just head north. Whereas, if you drive less than an hour north of us, it's what's our next town? Aiken south of us?
Aiken south. Supposed to be Virginia.
North would be like Big Fork where I'm from, and that's the woods. I'll say that's.
I meant south, yeah, I guess, but like an hour and a half south of us. You don't get that. I spent a lot of
about as far south as Forest. You're gonna get
exactly because by the time you hit Brainerd or anything, you can't escape that. Brainerd is a beautiful area. Don't get me wrong. You have awesome lakes and things like that, but you can't get away from the bustle.
No.
So
it's all cabins. So Alice, where do most of your clients come from? Are they Minnesota based or are they out of state?
It depends on what service we're focusing on. Majority of our fishing clientele, I will say, comes from Minnesota area, mostly metro,
Makes sense.
People that want to go fishing, whatever weekend with their family. Not to say that we don't get any from out of state. We've had clients as far as Europe for our fishing services. With that, when we're talking about bear hunting, a lot of them come from a lot of metro. Again, they just don't have the time to commit to baiting or anything like that. But we get a lot from, the surrounding states, Wisconsin, Iowa. When it comes to bird hunting, honestly, all over. We are in the ruffed grouse capital of the world. This is why the Ruffed Grouse Society holds their national hunt here in the Chippewa National Forest every year. Ruffed grouse, unlike other game birds, is one of those that you cannot pen raise. So they're truly wild. People have a passion for these birds. A lot of our clientele from there comes from, I'd say primarily, if I was to focus down on the demographic, is kind of Southeast United States. We get a lot from Georgia, Virginia, Carolinas, Louisiana, and, repetitive clientele. There's a reason they keep coming back.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So obviously this will carry over to different, what do most of your clients use? So let's go bear for, current reasons. What do they use for, their discipline, rifle, crossbow, archery?
Crossbow. Did you shoot crossbow?
I said crossbow.
Okay.
He said crossbow.
Cross gun.
We have everything, rifle, black powder, archery, crossbow. Archery to me is standard compound or recurve, but crossbow is crossbow. And that we've even had hunters take them with revolvers, handguns.
Oh, really?
So, those were pretty incredible hunts too. With Minnesota, there's no regulation on what type of firearm or utility you use, just as long as it meets the Minnesota standard big game requirements. So we have them from all over. I will say that my favorite are the archery hunters.
Well, we are the best.
Well,
more patient.
Not necessarily that, but some of those new broadheads that they're coming out with, like the Rage hypodermic and everything, they could leave a blood trail that Ray Charles can follow.
Not 30 years ago.
Not 30 years ago.
Only I want to say.
Okay, but whether new or not, that is still my favorite broadhead. The Rage hypodermic.
I know Dean shoots it too.
Rage hypodermic.
I did switch.
What did you switch to?
Nap. I switched
love me some
NAP.
Okay.
I switched to the NAP, but it was only because I do have a hypodermic.
I don't like that they have
I
little
had
rubber
the-
bands and shit.
Yep, I had the bone crusher. That did nothing for me. It didn't crush a single bone at all.
No.
So at that time, I was being cheap like a normal, deer hunter.
Right.
So I didn't want to pay the extra, whatever it was, probably $10 for the hypodermic. So I went with the NAP,
NAP.
which I love. The flight pattern is great and
I've been
everything,
shooting those
but
guys for
I did pick up
years.
some hypodermics as well. So I have one of each on each of my arrows that I use, but I grab whatever.
And still,
I
it
feel
all
like
comes
it.
down to shot placement, regardless whether you're using fixed blade, mechanical, anything. It all comes down to shot placement. But I mean, I could have a hunter out in a stand with a 12 gauge slug. So when it comes to bear hunting, especially where we are in the northern territory of Minnesota, I sound like I'm Canadian now. Territory.
Yeah,
No, I like that.
Yeah,
I like
but-
that.
How about that?
I
eh?
like that. In the Northern Territory.
Northern
How about
makes
that?
it
eh?
sound really exotic.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to the areas that we're hunting, typically our baits aren't any further away than, I think our farthest bait is about 33 to 35 yards away from the stand.
Okay.
So you don't get a lot of expansion on that. So these high powered rifles, shotgun slugs, especially, or, even black powder, if they're copper, you're not going to have expansion. Therefore, you're not going to have the exit wound. Where archery, hands down, we always find blood right away.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, I mean, regardless, we have clients that use whatever. We set our stands, we tailor towards the hunter, regardless what they're using, whether they're using a handgun, archery, rifle, and in accordance with what hand position they choose. Have a lot of left-hand hunters, surprisingly. So that's always interesting because both Justin and I are right-handed shooters, but we've never had anybody complain about the way that
Setup.
the stand is positioned.
So do you use, speaking of stands, is it like double ladder stands, or are you talking a couple portables,
it varies.
Varies, okay.
It does vary. So when we say that our hunt is tailored to the hunter, that's exactly what it means. If they're going to have a guest in the stand or a buddy filming it, or maybe a kid that's watching, we try to utilize our double ladders for that. Other than that, it's what their capabilities are too. We've done ground blinds. We've taken handicapped hunters that are completely immobile out of a wheelchair. I don't particularly like ground blinds. For one reason, we do a lot of public hunting. In fact, almost solely public lands. And, the area that we live in, depending on who's driving around, could be a little less than nice. On top of that, bear, if they have a tent, they're going to lay on it. I mean, they're destructive little bastards. But, we accommodate to the hunter. So whatever the hunter's choice is, if they have a buddy with, depending on the hunter's capability, we'll either put a double ladder in or a double hang on, know. So other than that, primarily we run a majority of hang-ons. If they're capable of climbing up there, we have a lot of ladders too, either man and a half, and double ladders. So we truly try to tailor it to the hunters and what they're hoping for.
Yeah.
So you hear that, guys? If you're sissy and you need to bring a friend bear hunt with you, Wheezy Outdoors will take care of you.
Yeah, exactly.
So when your clients actually take a bear, do you take care of it afterwards?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you do?
You're full service.
You're full service.
We are everything full service, excluding processing of meat. We did that the first 2 years. I won't do it again.
Right.
So in a perfect scenario, whether everything is accommodating, we will track the animal, gut the animal, and take it back to camp, get adequate weights. They then have an option if they want to process the bear themselves. We will skin it, quarter it, and put it in our freezers. Otherwise, there's a great meat market just south of us that is licensed to process bear, and we haul them down there, and that's Emily Meats in Emily, Minnesota. Otherwise, weather unpermitting, sometimes we might not get a weight or anything. We just try to get that bear as cool as we can. I have a freezer full of ice back at home, and we just gut it, skin it, and everything. We've been in some hairy situations where, although we covered the bear, we haven't been able to salvage any of the meat because we had to let it lay overnight. And, minimum temp of 68 degrees isn't going to do anything to cool the meat. So, and a lot of that falls on shot placement, and
it happens.
Yeah,
it does. It does.
We've all been there.
It does.
Yep.
As warm as these falls have been lately, I'm half tempted to build a freezer in my garage.
Exactly. I know there's a few days, even this past deer season, I was like, man, if I get one.
Yeah, if you shoot one on Sunday, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I got to process it right away or take it to maybe a processor I don't necessarily want to.
Yeah.
Because the one I want to go to is, closed.
Closed on Monday.
So it's just one of those things to where, I don't process my own deer. I'll admit it.
I can, but I prefer, for sausage purposes, I don't do sausage.
Yep.
I like to bring my deer in, especially when you shoot a deer. It's 60 degrees out. I want to get it in a freezer as quick as possible.
Exactly.
And I'd like to take it to somebody that has a freezer. Yep. And it's getting harder.
And that's always
right way.
The benefit of finding your local processors and what they're able to do. Emily Meats, Tracy Jones, actually, I was introduced to Tracy my first year bear hunting when he was only a taxidermy before he opened up the meat shop. And when he opened up the meat shop, it was just a blessing because he's licensed because he has a separate facility where he's able to skin, quarter, and he does it all that at a reasonable rate, and he'll bone the animal, everything, package it for you. And Wheezy Outdoors even offers it if you're out of state, we ship it.
Wow.
Tracy gives me a call. Yep. So-and-so's bear is ready to pick up. I go there. I go down to Maury Seafood Markets, who has dry ice, and I bring them the bundle of meat and say, ship it out for me. So that's always been the benefit for us, is who you know.
Exactly.
But there are hairy situations. I had one hunter last year, and you guys know how hot it was last year, who was determined that he wanted to cut up his own bear. And I said, I got the table, I got the knives, I have the vacuum sealer, but you have to do it now. Mm-hmm. And it gets scary. It gets touchy. Bear, I don't fall in the whole USDA guidelines that you have to freeze the meat for 30 days or anything like that. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's me personally. Although trichinosis is a thing to worry about.
That is a big word.
Trichinosis.
It sounds bad.
Yeah, it sounds really
it is
bad. It's got an osis on the back of it.
It's got an osis on the back. It is bad. So funny story. One of I can't remember how many years ago this was, but it was probably our third or fourth year into guiding. We harvested 8 bear our opening night.
Oof. Damn.
And that was when it was just me and Justin, and I think we had one other guide under us at that time. It was balls to the wall, no doubt. We were up until like 4 or 5 in the morning, skinning and quartering bear and everything like that. Well, poor Justin. Luckily for us, one of our clients at the time was also a taxidermist, so he stepped in to help cape the animals and everything. He's gonna kill me for saying this, but 4 in the morning and everything. These guys haven't ate at all, and they quickly run their hands underwater without thoroughly washing them and everything. And they go in. I can't remember what I had on the pot that night, but maybe sloppy joes or something. And they go eat. Justin and our client, who did harvest one of the bears that night, ended up getting so sick Oh my God. It's so sick. It was literally guttural moans at like 3 or at 9 a.m. by the time we were ready to get out. And he couldn't even walk. Justin couldn't even guide the next day.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association has been building our hunting and conservation legacy over the past 40 plus years through habitat, education, advocacy, and legislation in Minnesota for Minnesota.
So when your clients, when you have your clients in camp, do they stay at your place, hotels, campers? How do they navigate all that?
So we had the grand idea when we first bought our property that we were going to build cabins or bunkhouses for clientele to stay in. However, we decided to buy property in Alaska instead. So
sense.
Locally, we do have a hotel or a motel, I should say, in Reamer. Fantastic place. Steve and Erica, I know them well. They run a great operation there, as well as Longville and things like that. So there's area lodging around us, as well as Airbnb, Verbo, things like that. But we do allow clients to camp on our property at no additional cost.
Okay.
No additional cost outside the standard hunt rate. If they have a tent, camper, fish house, whatever they want to pull up. And that is what really brings the camp together, is when, we have a bonfire every night, and it's just a hoop of fun.
Oh, I said you provide electricity and septic too?
No.
Oh, bummer. I was to say we could camp there.
Right.
Yeah, no,
we have generators.
Right.
We do allow generators. The only time I allow hook up to our straight electric is in a medical cause, like, hey, they have a CPAP and they need it to live. So, but that's it. So, Jim, I know you don't have a CPAP. So.
I don't have a CPAP.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not that anybody told me I
We're
need
going to
it.
get one.
We're gonna get one.
We're just going to get one.
Right.
So we allow people to camp at our property at no additional charge, and that's really what makes the camp. It's a lot of fun. I mean, you might see some of the guides get drunk, but we all have a good time with it.
Yeah. Well, no, that sounds like a lot of fun. I wish I may have to apply for my bear tag this year, and if I don't get
With the bears by your place, I don't know why you wouldn't.
right,
I mean,
but it'd be more fun to
honestly,
go.
if you get one this year, I would kind of be mad because I've been applying for 4 years now and I haven't gotten one.
I guess we'll see if I'm lucky.
Well, I have about 10 preference points.
Right.
So
Although in that area, is there more permits in that area?
in Area 51, yes. Area 51 is Minnesota's largest quota area. Therefore, the
Boom.
most tags
so
are
you
issued.
could get one. In my area, there's only 200 and something.
Yeah.
And that's a huge area. It goes damn near over Bemidji.
Wow. Well,
Yep.
Yeah.
27. Yep.
Yeah. Over the top of Leech Lake and blah,
right.
blah, blah.
Okay. Yeah. You
And
follow
clear up
Highway
to Dad's
2.
place up to Togo. I mean, it's
Okay.
all over the place.
That's crazy. I have to look into that for sure. So this past season, or I guess any season really.
Yeah. Let's not talk about this past season.
No. So but since we're not going to talk about the last season, let's talk about wolves.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever seen any wolves?
Have you ever had any wolves?
Oh my God. Yes.
Oh, my God, yes.
Oh my God. Yes. It's
It happens.
Around here it does.
Wolf country.
it's stupid.
Yeah.
It is absolutely stupid. And the thing is, people say, well, they co-inhabit each other and everything, but a pack of 5 wolves will easily chase a single bear off a bait any day.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. But, it's getting outrageous when, so for instance, this last season when we have more wolves hitting our baits versus bear, it's an area of concern.
Oh, for sure.
It's an area of concern, and I have the trail camera pictures to prove it. We see a lot of wolves coming into our bear baits. With our bear baits, it's not as concerning to me. Yes, they co-inhabit, and the wolves can definitely chase a bear off a bait.
Oh, sure.
And it's happened, and we've seen it, whether in stand or on camera. So wolves are a huge problem in our area. More often, the part that's most concerning to me is during grouse hunting.
Really?
Yeah.
For the dogs or what?
Yep, for the dogs.
I never, I mean, would have thought, but you just don't think about it then.
No, you don't. But
We've had it multiple times where we've had a run-in with wolves with our dogs, and it's deeply concerning them because I mean any respectable pet owner, I mean the dogs are part of their family, and these boys, we have 3 English setters, and they're our world. I mean, they're essentially
Wolf is in trouble if it comes out near my dog.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care.
Exactly. I mean, and that's the exact reason that we take all safety precautions. One of the things that we noticed through our years, that's why we run beeper collars. It's, versus the bell or anything like that. The reason why we run beeper collars is because it's more audible.
Right.
We can hear it. We can, not only hear when the dog's running, when it's on point. It's also proven for us to be kind of I don't know if you want to necessarily call it a deterrent, but a deterrent against wolves.
I would think so.
We've had a lot of run-ins with wolves, and we've had dogs attacked and things like that. So
is that mostly in the Reamer area?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So we actually have a federal trapper about 4 miles from our property.
Okay.
And when we last spoke with him, wolves are manged, they're diseased, they're inbred and things like that. But the pack is never ceasing expansion. They're just continually getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's why they're trying to take some of their wolves out of that area. We have federal trappers in our area trying to secure the wolf issue that we're dealing with. What's more concerning is, I live in Reamer, which is a semi-moderately agricultural area for northern Minnesota. And you're talking to people that are losing livestock, losing pets, and God forbid it happens to a small child.
Right.
But I'm trying to not get too deep on this subject because I know where the parallels lie. But, I have a 2-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. I mean, and they play outside by themselves all the time. One of the things I am not impressed in a good way, but kind of astonished by this year is the amount of coyotes in the area.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a ton of
the amount of coyotes in the area. I mean, and typically you don't see wolves and coyotes cohabit one another, but we have seen more coyotes this year where we're at so what does that mean? The coyotes are moving further north, the wolves are moving more their south, or
absolutely. Where I grew up, there was never a coyote. I never saw a coyote. We had wolves in Togo.
Yep.
And now Dad gets more coyotes on his trail cams than he does wolves. There used to be wolves. I think they've moved on, and now the coyotes take their spot.
So could that be a good thing?
I don't know if it really even matters.
It probably doesn't.
Either one.
I mean, coyotes are still effective. They're still an effective predator.
I don't think they push as hard as the wolves.
Definitely not.
But I mean, regardless, in a pack standpoint, you got to expect that it's making a detriment. I mean, I used to drive, so back when we first moved to Reamer, I still worked in Grand Rapids. Okay, that's a 35-mile stretch for me that I'd run every day. And I could genuinely expect when I'd see a deer. I can't tell you the last deer that I seen on my stretch.
Really?
And see,
I've had a ton of deer around my house.
I saw, so last night headed home, I counted 32.
Yeah, I've had like 30.
I'm going whitetail hunting by Dean.
And yesterday morning, I had my usual 4 in the yard.
Right.
The other 2 were somewhere else. And then I backed out and I had 3 more up the road. As I drove out or headed east, I had another 6 in the field.
Is there something about the east and west side of, because if I take...
Which side?
And I'm in the Chippewa.
On 6. But if I take 6 heading north, if I take my son to school that way, I see deer.
Yeah.
But if I take 6 to 63, I see nothing.
Huh.
Well, I think it just depends. I mean, obviously, I think there's wolves.
Obviously,
and they move them out.
crop issue, but
for sure.
I'd say, I mean, I would argue that this past season we have had more of a problem with coyotes than we've had with wolves.
Well,
I
I don't know.
what to say,
I'd like to know if that is a good thing.
because I have both at my place.
That is true. You do.
And so,
and I've heard both at my place.
Yeah.
what's your standpoint on this whole new coy wolf? Basically, the coyote wolf interbreeding and things like
Well,
that.
I think they've always been around. I mean,
I agree.
I've heard of that when I was younger,
Yep.
and it's
Just becoming more prevalent now because
it
they're
almost has to be, because coyotes are obviously expanding, wolves are obviously expanding.
Yes.
It's going to happen more.
and you. So me personally,
And a dog's a dog.
and a dog's a dog.
I like my dogs.
I do too. Well, and that's the part where it's concerning. I have a 12-year-old Chesapeake who's deaf, completely deaf,
Right.
but has to go up multiple times. And he takes a while to do his business, half hour at times or more. And you know how concerning, pitch black, middle of the night when he's whining to go out and everything. Like, I'm like, oh shit, is he going to be there? You know,
Right.
but
Well, yeah, you have
I
to
mean,
wonder.
and it's something concerning. I mean, when I can step out off my back deck and listen to both wolves and coyotes, one coming from the north, one coming from the south,
Right.
you know, calling back and forth. The issues with the predators in our area, and I don't care what you say, if it's, you know, speaking particularly in whitetail deer, because I can tell you I own 27 acres and there's not a single deer hoof on my property right now. Whether it's wolves, coyotes, bobcat, lynx, you know, whatever, or bear, it's deeply concerning on where it's going. Do you feel a lot of that is because of the drop in bounty?
I mean, coyotes for sure. Obviously, I think that could be a big.
And beaver.
Well, I
my
think
my
overall-
river's dammed right now, and I can't get
Overall,
anybody.
for
I have to
prices
pay
of-
somebody to come get the damn beavers out of my
Right.
Yeah,
area.
fur prices have been down for years, and I
Well,
think
since
that
I was a
definitely has.
kid.
Yeah, I think that's definitely taken a hit on
Oh, yeah.
even basic predator control for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, I grew up, my dad was a trapper, and then I think in the 90s, he just pretty much gave up because it just wasn't even worth
You know,
it.
that'd be a good question if we can get the somebody from the Trappers Association on. here.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, and that's
Hopefully
what I've
somebody's
been.
listening.
So I'm not a trapper. My dad was never a trapper, anything like that. But I just, it's enormous the amount of. So for instance, like we own 2,700 feet both sides of the Willow River, and we have at least 3 beaver dams. And not to say that Justin, I don't take care of it, but what about the stretch of the river?
Yeah.
I feel that the increase in predatory population, you know, and not just predatory population. When I say predators, I'm speaking mainly on coyotes,
Right.
but I'm saying specifically just with the increase there, because I've never seen them this far north. The increase there, where it goes when, you know, pelts are so far down.
Yeah.
Well, they're almost worthless, I think. I mean, after watching Jared skin that coyote in Kansas, that you'd have to pay me a lot to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he spent an exorbitant amount of time on that,
For sure.
and it's not as nice as this one we got right here.
No, that's for sure.
And if they're giving you like what, $5 a
I don't even know what it is.
I don't
at
even.
this
My
point.
dad used to trap all the time. I remember he took me out, and I remember my first beaver actually. It was a big old girl. And that sounds funny, but it was. I mean, I got a big old girl. This is a conibear, 220, I think. And
Jesus Christ.
it's
I like
fun.
how he switches.
Seriously, I did. I remember my first beaver.
God, I would hope so.
I don't remember mine.
Thanks, Dad, for giving me my first beaver. I remember. I can even take you to the spot where I got it.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like
Bear
I
Lake.
digressed us a little
Bear
bit.
Lake, damn near Bear Lake.
So
Oh my God.
obviously you and Justin hunt, and you hunt and fish everything. So what do you shoot for caliber?
Yeah.
Depends on what we're hunting.
Okay, let's
your go-to?
go. Yeah, what's your go-to? What's your main, your favorite caliber that you have?
Mine, personally, my go-to that I can utilize across all boards when we're talking big game is a 35 Remington. I have a Marlin 30.
Really? 35, huh?
I have a Marlin 336 35 Remington, and that's my go-to.
That is awesome.
336, 35. I've never heard of that. Is that like a 35 renting?
It's
336, a lever action, correct?
correct.
But
Yep.
you said 35 because I found
It's a
some ammo
35
in my
Remington.
basement once for 35 Remington.
You
don't
want to
know.
sell it?
I'll give it to you if I can find it.
You want to sell it?
I'll
Because
give it to you.
I need it. As long as it's
But
not
it-
Remington
it-
core lock, I'll take it.
Seems, oh no, it's old. I mean, it seems like small. Is it like this big?
Yep.
Okay, if I can find it, I'll
Yep.
give it to you.
So
I didn't even know where it came
essentially, my go-to is that I can use across all broad is the 35 Remington. But then again, it depends on what I'm hunting. I mean, I have multiple calibers. If I'm specifically bear hunting, I'm going to choose my 450 or my 4570.
That is awesome.
450 Bushmaster.
No, 450 Marlin.
Yeah.
Same thing though, isn't it?
No, not at all.
450 Marlin is way older than the Bushmaster.
Really?
Yep. So I'm partial to my lever actions.
That is cool.
I'm severely partial. Jess and I, we have a collection that we started years ago. We have two 4570s. One is the guide series with the big guide loop on it. And so we have the 336 35 Remington, and then we have the 1895 4570s, two of them, and the 450 as well. So I still need the 3030 and I believe the 444 because they're all in the
I love me a
SBL model.
444.
Yeah,
My uncle used
they're
to
all
have
in the
that.
SBL models. So it depends. I am, even though I've kind of claimed his 1895 Guide Series 4570 as my own. It has a little Leopold red dot on it, and for bear hunting, I mean, that's just epic. I can pull it up. It's nice, short, easy to handle, and I love it. However, my go-to rifle for, say, whitetail is I have a little 243 Ruger Hawkeye,
Nice.
and it's a little compact model. I can pull up easy because primarily we hunt in either hang on or ladder stands. So I want something that I can pull up rather inconspicuously. So that's kind of my go-tos, but
Sweet. I don't know. I got some sweet 45 Colt ammo today. I might take my lever out there.
I think that would be cool.
I might try shoot a bear with that 45 Colt.
you should.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fun.
1873, yeah.
You know what? When I noticed that, she said she didn't have
What she didn't have?
6.5 Creedmoor.
No, of course she doesn't have that.
I do
Only
not
little
have a
girls shoot
6.5
that gun.
Creedmoor. I do not have a 6.5 Creedmoor.
I mean, will that even kill a bear, honestly?
So
I mean, it's no 22 meg.
funny enough, you should bring that up.
What happened?
Honestly, our largest bear to date was shot with a 6.5 Creedmoor.
No.
What?
I'm not even joking. Our client, Jordan Kaufman, when he was so typically I hate, and I will repeatedly sound that I hate any like 270, 6.5 Cree, any of those fast moving rounds.
Blasphemy.
I hate any, your shot distance is 35 yards tops. I hate those fast moving small
Yeah,
rounds.
they don't even open up.
Our largest bear to date was shot with a Savage Apex 6.5 Creedmoor. Custom build. It was gorgeous rifle, don't get me wrong, but
Dang.
not
So did you charge him more then to bring that?
no.
I mean, you know
not
you're
at
going to
all.
have to track it a little bit longer. I mean, I would have. Seems fair.
But anyways, I mean, this bear was 534 pounds dressed. And
So a little bear.
So a little bear, just a little bear. Its length was 12 and 11/16 with 7 and 13/16. I mean, its grand overall total was 20 and 8/16 wide. I mean, this bear was epic, and largest bear to date that I hate to admit was shot with a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Wow.
We won't tell Jared that.
No, 500 and some pounds. You hear that? Wheezy Outdoors will put you in a 500-pound.
Oh my God. Oh, no.
That's what you said. That's if you hunt with a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
There's a good plug.
I really do. I have not been able to bring myself to jump on the 6.5 Creed bandwagon
I'm getting
at all.
pretty close.
At all.
I've been looking at them, but I don't want to admit it.
I really haven't. I mean, if anything, I'd go with like the Hornady made PRC or something. I can't jump on the Creedmoor
22
round.
meg. Same thing.
I still can't. I can't bring myself to like the 6.5 Creedmoor yet.
Yeah,
It's questionable
tough.
at best.
It is questionable.
Yeah.
It's questionable.
We're working.
I think that's like
that
a
way.
millennial round. Isn't
It might be. It might be.
Very much.
Right.
Therefore, I'm not a millennial.
Millennial? I think you both are. I think you're just old millennials.
No, I can't
talking
bring
to
myself to like
I'm
it.
talking to both of you guys.
For what I hunt around here, I mean, I cannot,
Bears, what's your longest shot? 40, 50 yards?
Yeah.
if that. I mean,
Right.
my farthest shot out of any one of my stands, whether we're talking whitetail or bear or anything, well, bear is always less than 35 yards, but whitetail, even in some of my whitetail spots, we're talking 75 yards. I'm using a straight walled cartridge all day long.
Well, yeah, you don't need anything more.
Yep.
And that's why I haven't been, not to say that I don't want to, maybe hunt out west or, obviously we want to hunt in Alaska and things like that. But I went for the 300 Win Mag on my last rifle.
Yeah.
So are you saying in Alaska they have longer shots than here? I mean, I thought
Can
they
you
had lots
believe
of
it?
trees.
Can you believe
I
it?
think Alaska has a lot of trees, don't they?
No, it's
They
not
don't?
as, no.
It's kind of it's like Kansas.
It's like tundra
But
and
marshy.
it's like, so have you ever walked in peat moss?
Oh yeah,
Imagine that
really?
for 5 miles
Everywhere.
everywhere.
And mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes? They have
Mosquitoes, a lot of
I know they have
mosquitoes.
mosquitoes.
Not as big as here, though.
No.
No, I will argue, and regardless on what my family says in Alaska, no, mosquitoes are horrible down here. 10 times worse than
really?
Alaska. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. So, Alaska, here I
Here we come.
Exactly.
Hell out of here.
Right?
It's summertime.
Down the barrel is coming to Alaska.
Right?
No, that's awesome. Well, we appreciate everything, the conversation.
Yeah,
Alice,
thanks for
and
coming
everything.
in.
So, Wheezy Outdoors, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can give us a call at 218-275-7525. You can find us online at www.wheezyoutdoors.com. We are available on all of your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram. We are also on YouTube if you search for Venture North.
Awesome. We'll have to see if we can, MySpace would be really cool.
MySpace would be
Yeah, you might even
awesome,
be able
right?
to find them on MySpace.
Right.
Totally.
I'm starting a MySpace
I
account
know.
tonight.
I think
Just
You really
for
should.
this.
I think that's
figure
where
that
it's going to go.
Exactly. I
Is
think so,
MySpace
too.
still a thing?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think so.
No, I mean, it wasn't long ago. I found my old MySpace.
That
and
is
it was
awesome.
awesome.
I'm going to have to look for mine. That's cool. No, we appreciate everything. It was a good conversation.
Happy to be here, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Call Wheezy Outdoors if you want to kill stuff.
Exactly.
If
And
you
I
want to kill
think-
stuff, that's right.
Or, fish.
Or, well, yeah, you're going to
Yeah,
kill
you're
them
still
too.
going to kill
I
them.
mean, Justin
No,
will let
hey,
you kill stuff.
hey, I have to put a disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
My husband and I, the Captain Justin Wheezy, fully support catch and release. But if you want to go out and have a good time, come find us.
There you go.
And you can camp on their property if you
Yeah.
are.
And I think after
As long as you're not weird.
after the main seasons, the bear season, fishing, a little bit of hunting, grouse season, and obviously after Justin gets back from Alaska, I think it'd be great to possibly have him on board and talk about all that and see how the season went. So
Yeah, let's hope it's a
Absolutely.
little
I'm looking
cooler
forward to
this
being
year.
back.
yeah, I think it'd be really cool. So cool. Well, I think that about wraps it up.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me,
We're
guys.
going to have you back this fall. We want to hear how bear season went.
Yes.
Hopefully better than last. So.
Yeah, me too.
No doubt.
Hopefully I'll get a permit.
It's only up from there.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association and wolf.report proudly sponsor this podcast. However, please note that the opinions, topics, and guests featured may not necessarily align with the views, beliefs, goals, or mission of our sponsors.